You ready, Ellen?
Yes.
Set up. Alright.
I sounded like you said, are you ready, darling? I thought you were talking to Dave.
No, I said Ella, darling.
They only calls me darling when there's nobody about.
Wouldn't do that if you were here.
So this morning we're going to set a couple of rows of peas. The thing with peas is that if you set too many all at once, they seem to be all ready at the same time. So what we've done is we've sort of tried to extend the growing season by setting the peas sort of a fortnight apart. So in this bed, I set a couple of rows of peas 2 weeks ago, and they're just starting to come through. As you can see, we've had the bed covered over to warm up the soil. As you can see, the peas are just starting to come through, so that's a good sign. So what we're going to do this morning is we're going to set another row of peas on this side of the bed, so they'll be 2 weeks after this first row. And it's a variety called Blauwschokker. It's a purple podded pea. So you set them a couple of inches deep, so I'm just going to make a trough to get the peas in, and I've left a gap between the rows. We have improved this soil with some garden compost before we covered the bed over to warm it up. There are a few little seedlings coming through from what's been in the compost, but nothing to worry about. So yeah, we'll put a little bit of topsoil in the bed as well. That helps to retain the moisture. So you find that if it's all compost, as in bought shop compost, peat free, it drains very quickly. It doesn't hold the moisture. So if you do a mix with some topsoil and garden compost, it retains the moisture much better and the nutrients. So I'm just going to set a double row of peas. So all I'm going to do is pop them in 2 inches deep, about 4 inches across, 4 inches wide, and a couple of inches apart. You don't have to be too particular. Make sure you've got good contact with the compost. So I'm just pressing them in. These are, as you can see, they're a red podded variety, and the peas, when they've dried out, are sort of got a browny reddy colour, whereas normally they're green. As I say, the soil should be, it's quite warm now because it's been covered over with the plastic, and we've got a decent double row of peas in there. Now my dad always used to say throw a couple of extra seeds in for the birds, because the birds they'll come and pull up the shoots, but because we're going to cover it over, I'm not going to bother with that. But if you want to and you're not going to cover it over, feel free to do that. So peas are pretty reliable. They do tend to germinate quite easily, and this is a modular tray that I set probably 4 or 5 weeks ago. So these are in advance of that double row, and obviously further in advance of this double row. So we're going to have a continuity. These will be planted out in another week or so, when all the risks of the frosts have gone. And that's why I'm going to cover this bed back over as well, just to protect them from frost. They are pretty hardy, and we're getting sort of to the middle of April now, but we can still get frosts up here right up to the end of May. So I'll probably plant these out in 2 or 3 weeks after Easter. But these will obviously pod up earlier than this one. They'll pod up earlier than this row. So you've got a continuity. And the Blauwschokker ones, you can eat the pods, like a Monge too. These are called Meteor. These are an early variety. These will just eat the peas, but it'll give you a nice early crop. So I'm just going to quickly cover them over. Let's say just a couple of inches deep. The soil's pretty good, so if there's any sort of lumps of compost or whatever in there, just break it up and then firm them up. Get the soil just firmed down. They've already got a label in for the last row, so I'm only putting peas in this bed at the minute, so I know what they are. And then I'll give those a good watering, and I'll probably cover them up just for the next couple of weeks until these germinate. Just keeping an eye on these, because I don't want those to get too big and touch the plastic, because that's when you can get diseases or a bit of mould or whatever developing. So these should germinate again within 2 weeks. It's a bit warmer now, so it might be a bit quicker. These have obviously, we had the frost at the last weekend, but the polythene protected them. So all I'll do again is I'll just pop the polythene back over once I've watered them, but just so you know what I'm doing. So it's just a matter but it's a fairly strong sheet. I've put that in the main brace across the middle, basically just to stop the water sitting on it, because obviously if it rains heavy and the polythene hasn't got the ridge on it, it'll just collapse, and then if it freezes you've got the cold water touching the soil anyway, and now the peas are through, they need that growing space. So I will just fasten that back on once I've watered it.